Well, hello and welcome to today's webinar with Coach Wayne Wilson and moderators Matt Campbell, Scott Bigger, and Ed Trefsgar. We encourage everyone to connect to the RIT Alumni Association social media channels, including Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, where you will find up-to-date communications and opportunities about what's happening at RIT. To view our social media channels, please look in the chat box. RIT is in a campaign to transform the future of RIT. We want to take a moment to thank all those who have helped us reach over 80% toward our $1 billion goal. We're nearing the finish line, and all gifts play an important part in reaching that goal. If you would like to be part of transforming the future of RIT, consider supporting RIT athletics programs in various ways, including giving directly to the men's or women's hockey, or becoming a Sentinel Society member by committing a 5-year pledge of a minimum of $1,000 a year to the General Athletic Fund. That link is now appearing in the chat. And on to a few housekeeping items so that you can enjoy tonight's webinar. All attendees have joined in mute mode. However, questions for our panelists can be entered into the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen at any time throughout the discussion. Live captioning is also being provided and can also be found via the link located in the chat box. Today's webinar will be recorded and will be available complete with captions in approximately 7 to 10 business days following today's events. If you have any technical questions throughout today's webinar, please feel free to type those into the chat box as well, and we'll do our best to get you the appropriate answers. Now on to our webinar. We are happy to welcome RIT men's coach Wayne Wilson. With 23 seasons at RIT under his belt, Coach Wilson has guided the university to become one of the most successful and respected programs in all of college hockey. Wilson's impressive record with the Tigers includes leading the team through the transition to the respected Atlantic Hockey League. In 13 seasons in that league, RIT has won 4 regular season titles, 3 postseason championships, and made 3 NCAA tournament appearances. Coach Wilson also became the first coach to win the National Coach of the Year at both Division I and Division III levels in 2010. Moderating tonight's discussion are the voices of RIT men's hockey, Matt Campbell, Scott Bigger, and Ed Trefsgar, who will be taking your questions during the webinar. And with that, Coach, Matt, Scott, and Ed, the audience is all yours.
Well, Wayne, why don't we start out with a few thoughts you might have before we dig into some specific questions?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks, Candy, for the introduction, and glad to be back with these 3 gentlemen and talking hockey at this time of year. It seems like so long ago since we've played, and even our preseason, because we've been allowed to be on the ice from the first day of school. We're going on 4 hours a week, but it's been a long training camp, but it's just good to be back on the ice and excited to get the year going. So we've got an excited team to be able to play in front of fans again, which I think is the highlight of anyone's schedule this year. As you talk to all the different coaches, just to have fans back in the building means a lot to the players, just everyone involved, and just makes this great game that much better when you've got the passion in the building. So we're looking forward to that this year, and welcoming the corner crew and the pep band and just our fans in general and family members to watch us play. So I'm really excited for that, and get back to something that's a little closer to normalcy. It's not quite there, but a lot of progress has been made since really a year ago, when we weren't going to even have a program last year. And with the change of heart, we were able to play games, and I think those were really meaningful for our players, particularly our freshmen, to get 20 games in and to be able to practice meant a lot to them. And I don't know where we'd be without those games. You'd be looking at those same freshmen without any experience, wondering where you're at. But I really like our team for a lot of different reasons, but I just think that we had a good nucleus of forwards ready to return for this year. And then we were able to add 2 more forwards, 2 of our top 5 goal scorers return to get their masters, and because of NCAA rules up front. And then on defense, where we were very young last year with 3 freshmen and a transfer, so 4 of our 8 were extremely young, and depending on the COVID situations and so on, they might have been 4 of our 6 defensemen some nights. But with Dan Willett's return, a first-team All-League member, we have a transfer, and Gianfranco Casero, which we call him JoJo, which I'll refer to him as JoJo for the rest of the time because that's way easier to say. And the addition of Doug Scott, a freshman that came in that has made, I think, a real strong impact here in preseason anyway. So along with those 3 freshmen and the transfer being 1 year older, I think that's going to be a much better situation for us. And then in goal, we have a new goalie in Tommy Scarfoni coming to the mix with 3 goalies, with Ian being the other person that came back, Ian Andriano coming back for a 5th year and working on his master's. So, I think we're in real good shape. It's just hard to figure out when you didn't play the other kind of side of our league, the Eastern pod, I guess, if you want to say. And then with transfers and just seniors coming back, we really don't know what the other teams are really going to look like. We have a little bit of a feel, and with Robert Morris dropping out and us not playing Air Force last year, it's going to make for a very interesting year. It's almost a fresh start on our league, and it's going to be an exciting season.
Well, Coach, one of the things that we always find to be fun when we're broadcasting a game is seeing freshmen come in and see guys start to show a little leadership on the ice and, maybe on the bench and things like that. Your 2 captains this year, and certainly the assistants also, are guys who have shown that leadership, but particularly both your captains are guys all 3 of us spotted and said, okay, that's somebody who's going to be a captain one day. You talk about the leadership on this year's team.
Yeah, great point. And, we've always had the players select the captains, myself and the coaching staff, and even our equipment, Steve Henshin, manager, also gets a vote. It's just 1 vote of this year. It's 29 players, but it's just 1 vote. And so to be elected a captain or assistant captain this year is quite an honor. And it doesn't always go to the best player. It doesn't, we're very fortunate that both Dan and Will are leaders in their respective positions, and we're all league players, first team all league players. But I think that the C really represents their character and their leadership qualities more so than their skill set. But when you've got both, it's nice to have leaders that are also your top players.
Coach, you mentioned the 5th year players coming back. That's something that's new because of COVID, the NCAA granting everybody from last season an extra year of eligibility effectively. How does that change the mix or the composition of the team when you have players spanning really 5 groups instead of just the usual 4?
Yeah, we took a little different approach than a lot of teams. In that I really liked last year's seniors in general, and we offered them all the opportunity to come back. They all had different, for the ones that didn't return, they all had different reasons, whether they didn't have a master's program in their major, whether they had a job already lined up, whether they just wanted to move on and play hockey instead of, in our situation, financial aid instead of getting paid to play. And then the ones that really came back were the ones that, for more than any other reason, really want to get their masters. They're all going to have the ability to play after RIT, but felt that if they went on and played somewhere, the likelihood of coming back 2, 3, 4 years after playing, and maybe longer, of getting their masters is probably unlikely. So these are 4 individuals that really want to come back and get a better experience than what they really had last year, and even how the season ended the year before. But it was really driven by the fact that they wanted to get their masters, and so I applaud them and glad to have them back. It's something that we probably can't do every year, invite all of them back, but I just thought under the circumstances, regardless of their stature. And when I say that on the team, how much they played, points, stats, or anything like that, I just want to provide all of them. And I think, I don't know if other teams, I don't know how unusual that was amongst other teams, but it was just something I thought that we would do.
To follow up on that, Coach, it is something that is going to be in the calculus for the next 3 years, really, not just limited to this season. Do you think it's going to have a long-lasting effect on the face of D1 college hockey, or do you think it's just going to kind of peter out over some time?
Well, that's, I don't know where that is. I mean, part of me thinks that the way the transfer worked this year, it might be just the tip of the iceberg and more will transfer, or just because of COVID and the fact you had seniors able to transfer, that this was just the initial rush. I think it also depends on the success or their lack thereof of transfers coming in and maybe not getting acclimated to their new environment. And if you have success with them, then you probably stick with it. If you don't, you might say, no, I'm just going to stick, do something differently. It makes it hard for coaches really in your numbers. I like the number 26 as far as my roster size. I don't want to over recruit. There's nothing from stopping us from carrying 30, 32, 33 guys, but I don't think that's, my assistants do a great job. They, really, when we bring someone in or offer them a spot, it's not done haphazardly. It's done with a lot of thought, a lot of viewings, and it's our job then, if they don't have immediate success, to try and make them better. And that's coaching, I guess. That's why they call it coaching. But I'd like to stay at 26, but do you have to be prepared for the one or two guys that leave your program unexpectedly? Or I'm not sure how to handle that, but at least for year one, we didn't have anyone transfer out. But I'm not saying that could change quickly come next year. You never know.
Wayne, you talked many times about how strong the offense is on the Tigers, really is a high point, and also the youth of the defensemen last year and getting some experience. What are some of the areas of strength we can expect to see from the Tigers, and areas that you're working on and really trying to improve?
Well, the area we hope is really just our defensive play. And that's not necessarily just done by our defensemen. It's done by the five guys on the ice, the unit, and the goaltending. So all those areas have to improve this year, because I think we're leaders. We're probably top 10 offensively. I don't have anything in front of me. Our power play has always been pretty strong. So we've always been offensively pretty gifted. But I thought that defensively is what the area that we needed to address. We addressed it with our players right from day one, and they all realize that if we can just improve that by just a little bit, we're not off by much, but we do have to improve in the whole defensive part. The 5-on-5 defense, our penalty kill, and our goaltending all have to get better. And I can tell you right now, we've improved drastically with really just the three guys we have back, the unexpected, with Dan coming back as a fifth-year player, but with JoJo coming in as a transfer, and then with a freshman coming in. And then, like I said, I think the natural progression with your young guys being a year older is going to serve them well.
A quick follow-up on JoJo. He comes in from UMass and was part of a team that won a national championship. And if I remember right, he got to play in the national semifinal. What kind of maybe experience and what kind of stuff can he tell the guys having come from that background and that program that played at such a high level last year?
Yeah, he's just starting to speak up a little bit right now, but he was, still so new to the program. I think he's still a little hesitant, even though he's an upperclassman as a junior, to speak up. So we value his experience, what he's gone through, and just as a player, we had seen him play quite a bit well before he had gone to UMass. He played with a couple of guys on our team as well, and very familiar with us. And I think it's been when I say somewhat of an easy transition, I think there's always new surroundings and all that. But I think once he starts playing here, I mean, all the guys can see what he can bring to the table in practices. Now, once we get to the games, it's going to be fun to see his contributions, and just I think we'll make him feel a little bit more comfortable. And with that, then I think he'll speak up a little bit more when he feels it's needed.
Looking at the freshmen a little bit, I was reading some words from associate coach Brian Hills on a couple of the forwards. Grady Hobbs, he talks about how good he is on the forecheck, and Carter Wilkie as a two-way player. That kind of goes with what you were talking about. The emphasis on improving the defense, but really end to end on the ice. Can you talk about how the freshmen are fitting in on that?
Yeah, they've done a great job. Our camp has been very, very good. There's been players that haven't received much ice time in the past that are having a great camp. I mean, it's going to be really difficult to get people, and we've got 29, so not all of them can play. I mean, there's going to be almost 9 players not playing on a nightly basis, which is going to be really difficult. But I don't think we'll miss a beat if there's sickness or injury and things that will come up during the course of the year. The improvement that we've seen so far has been quite noticeable and very tangible when we watch and see what they're doing out there. So, this group has come in and really have done a very good job. And we're at that point where we've had a long preseason that we're really looking forward to seeing them in games and getting them all in games early to see where we're at, and looking forward to that.
Coach, captains play a big part in any team, and we've touched on them briefly, but for the listeners that don't know, this coming season we'll have 5 Tiger captains, with Will Coverly and Dan Willett wearing the C's, Nick Bruce, Andrew Petrucci, and Kobe Walker wearing the alternate captain A on their jersey. Coach, what kind of a role do you look for from your captains, and how important are they to your team?
I think they're real important in helping. I think the coach has to guide things early in the year. Set the bar, the expectations, the standard of practice and play, and try and hold players accountable. And then the captains are really an extension of the coaching staff, from the coaches to the other players. But I think they're also a conduit from the other players on the team to the coaches. And I just think that once you hit the Christmas mark or halfway through your season, it's important that the captains really take over the locker room. It's way more impactful when they're talking to the younger guys about their expectations of what they need to do to have success than it is for a coach. And, once that happens, I think that's when you're lucky as a coach, and you're onto something special. It doesn't guarantee anything, but I think their leadership, once they start putting their stamp on the team, is really when your team takes shape, and you can really expect bigger things from your team than the groundwork that the coaching staff tries to lay down at the beginning of the year.
Coach, we've talked a bit about the players. Let's talk a little bit about your coaching staff. As you mentioned it, you have a new member of the staff this year, a volunteer assistant, a name very familiar to Tiger fans, and a guy who still leads in a bunch of categories among goaltenders at RIT, and that's Shane Matalora. Now that he's gotten involved with the team and the goalies, what has he been bringing to the mix?
Well, he brings credibility right off the get-go because of, as you mentioned, some of the records that he holds and things like that. And I've been very fortunate. Len Perno did an outstanding job here previously. It's just tough for a volunteer to. They're really torn. They want to put all the hours in of a full-time member, but they're not getting paid, so it makes it awfully difficult to sometimes explain to your family and things like that. But I think Shane, with what else he's doing outside of helping us, his schedule's pretty flexible, and we look forward to really, he worked extremely hard at his game. Technically, he was as close to perfect as you can get. I'm sure if he was 6'3", or bigger, he still might be playing somewhere at a very high level, making a lot of money. It just, the emphasis on size probably hurt him as much as anyone right in his time frame, where goalies just started getting bigger and bigger, and actually defensemen started getting smaller and smaller. It's amazing how that's flipped. But so I think the credibility that it brings, and I think just a great sounding board for the other goalies or our goalies to be able to bounce ideas off him, and they can talk to someone that's got great experience and has been in their shoes, so has a good understanding. So we're looking forward to seeing how the goalies progress under his leadership, and I hope I just can stay out of the way and not mess him up.
And we should mention that the reason he's a volunteer is not that RIT wouldn't want to. It's an NCAA rule on how many paid coaches you can have.
Right, and that makes it difficult, but those are the rules. Otherwise, you never know. Some of those bigger schools may have, I don't know how many coaches, but but yeah, it's too bad we couldn't work something out with that. But right now, those are the rules.
Coach, you briefly have touched on the transfer portal a couple of times. That's something that is greatly expanded into college hockey this year. 300 plus players entered the portal last spring, and some of the other Atlantic hockey teams during the media day last week talked about bringing in 4 players and such from the portal, almost treating it more like free agency rather than just a way to fill a need here or there. What impact do you think that portal is going to have on Atlantic hockey this season, and then Division I over the next few years?
Yeah, well, it is free agency, man, and it works both ways. I mean, scholarships are renewable every year, so a team doesn't have to renew a scholarship to a player. And now with the transfer portal, the player does not have to come back to the school that he just played for. I'm not a big advocate, and I think you're playing Russian roulette. I think some of the teams in our league, I don't know what they were doing all year when you're talking about 6 players or more. What if you didn't get those players? What were you going to do to fill those voids? You just going to play, or I don't know how it works. We knew how many guys were coming back to us as our 5th year players. We didn't know, no one's going to tell you in the middle of the year that they're transferring. They wait till the end of the year. Yeah, so I guess maybe I'm still old fashioned. Maybe I've got to get up to date on this transfer portal, but I do like our guys, and I want development, and I want someone to start something and try and finish something. I think there's commitment. There's a lot of different values and that, and we were fortunate that we didn't lose anyone, but I think there's unexpected losses, and I think you've got to search how you're going to fill those voids. And maybe some people just think that filling it with 1 year, maybe, the people that come in, it's only for maybe 1 year. Maybe they're getting their masters and they're moving on as well. And if they don't work out, it's a 1 year problem. But, I don't know what the message is to the rest of the players on your team, what you're sending. If you're so busy looking at everyone's else roster, thinking their players are always better than your own, like, I don't know what the message is you're sending to your own team. So you've got to be careful. And I think there's room for transfer portal. I thought someone like Greg Amlong that we had in the past, it was a school that, just didn't think it was a great fit, and we thought it was. So, he comes in, but you'd hate to see someone in our situation where you're playing someone a lot. You've got the major that they have, and all of a sudden they just want up and leave for whatever reason. And, it's not for playing time or anything like that. So I think it's justifiable real quickly is using the basketball or the football when you're the backup quarterback, like the kid was at Ohio State, he transfers to LSU, becomes first overall. I think, those situations are just a little bit different. Goalies, I think, in general are different. If you're not playing, then I think you have every right to say, okay, if you don't feel I'm good enough here, then it's time to move on. But for the players that are playing, you'd like to see them stick it out and, keep improving and make your team better.
Coach, this coming season, RIT has put together a very tough non-conference schedule. Colgate to start the season off at the Gene Policini Center on Saturday. But then you'll follow it up with St. Lawrence for Brick City weekend, going out for a pair at Notre Dame. Later on in the season, seeing Princeton and Arizona State. How important is a strong non-conference schedule today in Division I hockey?
Well, you certainly want a strong schedule, I think, just to see where you stack up nationally. Because you do it sometimes so far in advance, you never know how those teams are going to be. So if you would have probably talked about St. Lawrence a couple of years ago, they were at the bottom. And then last year, even though it was a COVID season, they ended up winning a ECAC title. So just a little strange seeing that, that's just weird. But yeah, you want a strong non-conference schedule. And where are we? And, it's not really about wins, although you set out to win whatever non-conference games are on your schedule. It's more about growth. What can you learn about your team if you play good teams? And all of them are going to be different characteristics for each team that makes them better. But whether it be quick and physical, you find out about your team one way or another, how they handle the different opponents and styles and the leagues, so that when you face someone, hopefully in the NCAAs, that you're not in awe, you're ready to go, and you have a good feel on how they play, or even the refs, how the refs are from the different leagues that you get exposed to as well.
Last Saturday, the RIT women put over 1,300 people in the stands at the Gene Policini Center, which was outstanding. And I'm sure we're hoping for a full GPC this Saturday. But how much is the team looking forward to having the team having their peers, their friends back in the stands to cheer them on?
Yeah, really excited. That was, one of the first things I did was check the women's box score to see how many fans were there, because I didn't know if people were going to be anxious to come back. And I think the hockey fans are anxious to come back, or were they going to be a little apprehensive with the variant? Should I go, not go? But it appears, at least from if the women's game was any kind of indication, we should have a great crowd this weekend, and we're really looking forward to it. No more than obviously our players are really excited about it.
Speaking of having people back, this is probably a good time to plug the alumni events that are also going to be back this season when the Tigers are on the road, including new places at Notre Dame and Princeton as the Tigers travel there. Also the regular Army at the beautiful Thayer Hotel that we always enjoy so much, including Bentley and Air Force and Canisius. So, the team really doesn't interact with the alumni, but you get to do that at the events. And, how nice will it be to see some of the people that we've become so familiar with over the years? Yeah,
there's some regulars in some of the different spots. It's nice to have my two bodyguards with me when I travel. So Ed and Scott you guys are great, and I really appreciate it, getting me to them and then back to the rink as the team takes off on the bus and are at the rink going through their game prep. But no, it is fun to see the fans, and you learn a little bit every time you go out and meet different people. And the Thayer actually was the hotel where we bumped in to an alum who donated 2 great scoreboards for a rink. So you never know what's going to come from it when you go to these places. But we've had some great crowds in different spots, and it's been a lot of fun meeting them and their passion and really just talking about RIT and how the school itself has grown, and it's just been a lot of fun. So I appreciate that, and some crowds let me off the hook pretty easily without any questions, and others they nail me down pretty good. So it is fun, and to take your show on the road and really interact with people that may not be able to get back to campus for one reason or another.
Coach, I'm going to go to a question we've gotten from one of our viewers here, talking about loving how academics have always been very important to RIT hockey and RIT hockey players, and the appreciation for the players coming back to continue with a master's degree and staying as super seniors. The question from the listener is, RIT seems like a better fit for him in the ECAC. And is there any thought that maybe realignment and any changes might be down the road for RIT hockey there?
That's a great question. And in some ways, I do think I've got to be careful how I answer the questions, but we would be a good fit because some of our Liberty League members are in there when we talk about Clarkson and St. Lawrence and Union and RPI. So I think we fit in very comfortably with those teams. But we do value our membership with Atlantic Hockey. I think there's other things that are involved. I mean, we're still financial aid. We need scholarships, I think, in order to be a competitive member of the ECAC. And I think that's a big piece of what we would need to at that. I think you've got to be on your toes because of the constant change in college hockey. I see more changes coming up. I couldn't even predict how what it will look like in 10 years, but I think there's going to be more change maybe within the next 5 years. So we have relaunched the CCHA this year, so that is new. There's still a number of independents out there that really we've never had this many independents waiting to try and get into a league. So you never know. I think we've got to be careful, Atlantic Hockey, and this is just my opinion. I'm not sharing anything more than what mine, but I think well, hopefully if we could get Robert Morris back, but then if we were expecting more growth, I think, is it smart to go to 2 more leagues versus going to 14 teams? So do you want one team getting a bid out of 14, or would you rather 2 teams getting a bid in a 17 league? I'm just using that as an example in numbers. There has not been anything more than just that, but I think there is a certain number. To me, 8 is the number that you'd like in your league. You play 2 home, 2 away, you play the same opponents. It's a balanced schedule. I think that's great. 11 wasn't ideal. 10's maybe better, but if Robert Morris joins, do you go to 12? And then do you just have one team join, or do you have multiple teams join? If you take one away, that's one less team that can form their own league on their own. And it's probably better not to expand as a league and let those teams have a chance to group together or form something and encourage other teams to maybe join them in that league. So you got to be careful that you don't leave just 1 or 2 teams out. It's better that if you've got 4 out independents, let it grow maybe a little bit more. And before you know it, maybe they could have 6 or 8 teams and form a league. But I leave that up to the higher ups, both as a commissioner of our league and the athletic directors at the respective schools.
Coach, when the schedule came out, it did not escape the view of RIT fans that it was a bit of an unbalanced schedule in conference with 16 on the road and 10 at home. And the same thing was the situation with Sacred Heart. Both schools were unable to make the trip to Air Force, and the league felt like it needed to kind of remunerate Air Force for that. It is what it is, but any thoughts on that, or is it just something you take in stride and move on?
So you drop the line in the water, I'm supposed to bite the hook.
Well, try to make it as nice as possible.
But I will bite the hook. No, I don't think it's right. That's my own personal opinion. I think it's so wrong. Not only for us, one, you're letting a very difficult season last year bleed into this year, but I don't know what the standings are going to look like at the end of the year, but I'm assuming they're going to be very, very close. Separations from who gets buys, who gets home ice, who wins a championship, who's got to travel, that the unbalance it's already unbalanced. To make it that much more unbalanced than what it was going to be, instead of a 12-14 or home and away, or 14-12 home and away, to go 10-16 to me makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't mind saying that. And but I don't make those decisions. I just, here's my schedule and I've got to follow it. But I don't think that was right. No, we didn't go to Air Force, and we could debate that, all the time. So if our punishment is that we have to go there instead of them coming here. So they were going to come here for 2 games and that was it. if we have to go there, that's fine with me, but that should have been a 14, 12 home games, 14 away with the 2 games going Air Force. That's my own opinion, and no one else's, and that because it does affect the other teams in our league, and we let one really a pandemic affect now a second year, and it's good. Someone's going to get burned by this, and I don't know who. It could be us, just being on the road so much. It could be, someone else that, just too difficult a situation. It was a pretty easy fix. And if I was Sacred Heart, I'd be more upset because I traveled all the way to Niagara to play Air Force. So I only didn't play 1 game against Air Force, and they got the virus by doing that. And Air Force also showed that by their second road trip, the whole team got it. So traveling was not a good idea by flight. And our situation, it was really with 2 weeks left in the season to travel. And at that time, we were not even, I think we're at 3 positive cases all year. We were putting our whole season and our team at risk to travel. And, that was that. So unfortunate, but it is the schedule, and we're not going to whine about it. I'm upset that it was given that way, but I'm looking forward to playing the schedule, whether it be home or away, and we'll move on from there. And we will finish where we deserve to finish at the end of the year, whatever that may be.
Last season, Atlantic Hockey, as you mentioned, kind of split into 2 pods, East and West, for standings and statistics and, all conference teams and all those kinds of things. Assume at least the way the schedule is standing right now, everything's back to more traditional, where it's going to be 1 set of standings for the playoffs and stats and everything. Is that true?
Yes. So everything is back. We've got an unbalanced schedule, but yeah, we're all back to normal here. And, fingers crossed, because this variant could pop up at any time. We've got to be careful. You can't get too comfortable just yet, but we also have to learn how to live with this, because this isn't going away, whether you're talking about the variant this year, but you could be talking about this, 2 more years. And hopefully it's just talk that you're getting your COVID shot, just like you're getting your flu shot. That's the hope, is that it's not shutting anyone down, or, all those different things that we went through last year. But I think we're dealing with it much better this year than we were last year. And we hope that progresses, and we hope to have a full season, and really looking forward to just playing and enjoying what we all enjoy. It's funny, some people may dread going to work every day. I enjoy going to it and every day, and my players enjoy coming to the rink every day. So it's the best part of our day, I can tell you that, and really looking forward to playing the games.
Coach, in the off season, very late in the off season, the Atlantic Hockey World was stunned to learn that Robert Morris would not be fielding a women's or a men's hockey team for the upcoming season, in fact, at all anymore. Since that kind of shocking decision, Robert Morris has backpedaled a little, but unfortunately it was too late to rescue a season for this year. So they're out, but possibly coming back. How big of an impact is that going to have across the league this season?
Well, it's really unfortunate. I really, speaking on both their men's and women's team, but obviously Derek Schooley put together a great program there. It was a highly competitive program. We had great battles with them. Really look forward to playing Robert Morris, and knew you had to play your best if you're going to win, and that there's a good chance you're going to see them late in the playoffs. So, I feel really for their players. I thought, everyone has to make presidents have to make tough decisions. I may not agree with the president's decision, but I'm not here to say it was the wrong decision either. He's got to make decisions that's best for his school, and that's what he thought at the time. But I was more disappointed with the timing of the decision, and the fact that their players, I don't think they really, the ones that are going to be playing this year, didn't really get to pick where they wanted to go. They were kind of, this is all that's left, and this is the money that's left, and take it or leave it. They didn't have much choice, and really blindsided everyone in the college world, but no more than the players on their teams, the men's and women's teams. Their women's team had a very successful season last year. So that, and I really don't know where it's all going. We're all upset, and I think we, all would love to see them come back in the league. But if you're not going to have assistant coaches at this time, you're not recruiting a class of, oh, we've got a big class of 8 we got to recruit. You've got a big class of 28 you might have to be recruiting. And, without hiring coaches, I don't know where it's all going to be. I don't know where the long-term commitment's going to be. And they'll, the ADs and the commissioner are handling that with Robert Morris, and they probably know more than I do, or I know they know more than I do. But, I'd like to see them back, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
This past summer, a gentleman who served at RIT for more than 4 decades, Lou Spiatti, retired. So for the first time in your career at RIT, there's a new executive director of intercollegiate athletics, Jackie Nicholson. Everybody has been just talking in glowing terms about her energy and her excitement to be on the job. What have you seen so far from your new boss?
You broke up a little bit there, but I think I know what you were asking. Great. Lou was a terrific mentor to myself. He was outstanding, and really lucky to have him and his passion for hockey. And Jackie, as you had mentioned, great energy, and is bringing fresh ideas. And she's in the middle of working for a lot of different projects right now. I mean, thrown right into the fire as with not only the hockey programs, but new facilities across campus, and really hit the ground running. And both her and her daughter are certainly going to be valuable assets to RIT. And I'm really looking forward to really getting to know her that much more. We've had a couple of one-on-one meetings, and we have a couple more lined up. She's meeting with myself and our captains tomorrow, which is, I think, pretty neat, that we'll be meeting for lunch, and our captains will get to know her a little bit more. And as she gains a little bit more insight to hockey, she was familiar with field hockey, which is a little bit different than ice hockey, but she's an athlete herself, hurdles at the Division I level. So we know just from that she's a competitive person. And like I said, really looking forward to working with her, and just trying to pick her brain and just make our program a little bit better every year. And it's going to be exciting, and we look forward to it.
Just a follow-up question. What are some of the ideas and new programs that you're working on with Jackie for hockey in general, not just men's but women's as well?
Yeah, well, the scholarship issue is one of the issues that has come up numerous times. So the school has been looking in and investigating into that, and we're hoping to try and get scholarships. So I think in order for us to compete long term, and just the way the climate has changed so much, it was different when we started the league. In the league, when I think we had 12 scholarships. Now our league members have 18. I think you've got the transfer portal, you've got the cost of attendance, you've got a lot of different things that have happened since we've been in Division I. And in order for us to have any kind of success, I think it's going to be important that we're able to give out financial help to our student athletes. Schools, not only RIT, but all schools have not gone down in tuition expenses, and continue to rise. And for RIT, rightfully so, our tuition needed to go up because of the quality of the education that people were getting by attending RIT. So having said that, that's a little bit more on our personal hockey front. The school is looking into going to Division I across the board. That's going to be revisited at some point. Right now, getting all the facilities up to date, which a new track, a new stadium, a new baseball field, turfing those areas. Living in the north east has been tough on the spring sports with the weather that we have, and really the success of our lacrosse program is hard to share with the general public when you're playing on our turf field out back where our rink is at, and fans aren't really, the bleachers are at a minimum there. So it's hard to showcase what a great product they have. So just on some of those fronts, I think and all the programs have their own needs. That probably never stops from all the coaches knocking on the athletic director's door saying, geez, we really need this, we really need that, because it's a competitive world out there and you're trying to continue to upgrade. And our league is probably no better example than our league, and really looking forward to, Bentley's new facility that's been great and badly needed, and Sacred Heart will be done before you know it. So looking forward to playing in their new facility down the road, and you never know with AIC, what they can possibly do. So our league has grown leaps and bounds. It's been a great league, and we want to continue to push forward. And I think getting rinks on our campus had to be something that had to happen in order for our league to grow, to get the respect that I think we deserve. And I think a lot of people understand that now, but you got to grow your fan base, and it's tough to do if you're at someone else's facility and, you can't get there easily, and your student population just doesn't want to go to it. But when you put it right smack in the middle of your campus, it really pushes your league forward. The fan base increases, and then you start getting home games with other opponents that maybe your students may be familiar with, and that makes it more exciting on campus as well.
Coach, I just wonder if anyone has prepped Jackie for what to expect out of the corner crew on Saturday, if you guys are just throwing her into the fire and letting her discover it on her own.
Well, that's a great question. I think she's heard about the corner crew, but I don't think she knows what to expect from it. But I hope they give her a warm welcome, as only the corner crew can. Maybe they've saved some of their best chants. We'll have to see what happens there. But it really does add a whole different element to our games, and it makes it such a fun environment. And it's just a special group, and hopefully we can grow in those numbers. We get some of these freshmen out to our games, and we'll see how that goes as well.
So speaking of this weekend, listeners of our radio broadcast know that oftentimes on the Saturday night game, we'll ask you what we have to look forward with next week's opponent. And oftentimes you're annoyed with me when I ask that question because you're still thinking about what just happened. But what do we have to look forward to with this weekend's opponent?
With Colgate here, you're talking about? Okay. You know what? We got to play them. We've played them the last couple of years. I thought their transition game was outstanding. When they go on offense, boy, they bring it. They really attack your net, and we've had really competitive games. We just watched a game. I wasn't even looking at the score on it, but I think we tied them last year, and we won a homecoming game against them. But good discipline. Donnie Vaughn does a great job with his team. I think it's a great start to our year, because I think we're very similar in a lot of ways, that we'll have a good gauge coming out of that game, what we're about. And we're looking forward to the challenge and getting everyone's feet wet and really just what's our starting point. We all think we have a starting point right now, but Colgate will give us a much clearer vision of what we need to work on as we go into Army. And I think it's a great opponent to figure out what we need to do to be better. And as we tinker with our lineup, as we normally do at the beginning of the year, getting some different people in the lineup and trying to use our depth that we have this year. And, Army, I probably didn't really want them at that time, but without them, we probably would have never got Arizona State, and we never got to the 34 games that we needed. So I'm thankful for Army to move those games to that time. And a little unusual to play 2 league games second weekend of the year, but we'll get back to non-conference, and it's not going to hurt us one way or another. We'll just have to be ready.
Before we continue with questions for Coach Wilson, a couple of things. We still have 8 or so minutes for you to get a question in if you want to ask something and you're watching. This Saturday's game, you can get RIT hockey tickets at rittickets.com. Brick City weekend is coming up 2 weeks after that. You can find out about the hockey game plus all kinds of great alumni events at rit.edu/Brick City. And for the alumni events on the road, which if you're outside the area are terrific to catch up to, as Coach mentioned, visit rit.edu/alumni.
Ed, if I could just add one more thing that
Sure.
our team is doing this year, and it'll be come out on Twitter or the social media, is that we're doing a Real Men Wear Pink, raising awareness, but probably more importantly, money to Real Men Wear Pink and cancer. And what's happening is I'll have a brief video to kick it off that we'll be posting, and then each player will be they may say a few words or maybe just carry the sign that they're wearing pink on behalf of someone, and it may be just to bring awareness or looking for donations, but there'll be links under all our players' names where people will be able to make a donation, and that'll go on for the month of October. And I think our second to last game, I think our last game's a Halloween themed night, but our second to last game will be encouraging people to wear pink to the games, and that even though we just don't have a lot of games in the Palestini Center, we have the first one on the second and not till the end of the year, and then we squeeze the Blue Cross game in. But that's something, if people could donate any amount, it doesn't really matter. That our team has kind of jumped on board with that, and wearing a pink jersey in practice is what they were doing, and so we had different guys wearing pink jerseys, and so hopefully we can make some money for cancer, and Real Men Wear Pink.
I guess I got about a month to get that pink dress shirt for that
Yeah.
night. You do get to go on the road a little bit to look at recruits, but for the most part, the two associate head coaches, Brian Hills and Dave Insulaco, do the yeoman work out there recruiting and traveling. What's it been like for them with COVID, and have they been able to get more back to normal?
Well, they're pretty good. They've been out quite a bit, and they do a great job. I think the one thing that separates our program, and this is a little bit of a recruiting spiel, but is that when we're committed to someone, we take them and they, we expect them here for 4 years. It's not a 1-year tryout and get rid of them. And a lot of teams are like I said earlier, a little, I'd say shady, like tryouts type of thing. And then they're promising them 3 for 4, we'll pay your last 3 years, and they never keep them and things like that. So Brian and Dave do a great job. We really monitoring what it's like out there, recruiting great student athletes that are great fit. We had like a 3.7 grade point average last year. We talked about the guys coming back for their masters, but better yet, being great hockey players also. And we have 2 guys at NHL training camps, and Adam Brubaker with Detroit and Kristen Ev with Calgary, but numerous guys in the American Hockey League camps that will be starting off here pretty soon as well. So they've done a great job recruiting, and they've worked extremely hard. I'm really, really lucky to have both those guys because of the integrity and how they carry themselves, and their ability to pick players that are 4-year players, and also match what our school needs are as far as what we're expecting from them as students and athletes as well. So I tip my hat to both Brian and Dave.
Looking at Brick City, you've got St. Lawrence this year at the Blue Cross Arena. One of the highlights that got canceled last year was having Notre Dame at the Brick City Arena. Are the non-conference games something like Notre Dame? Are those going to be rescheduled? Have they just been cycled into the future calendar?
Yeah, everything's been rescheduled now. We had to push a couple of series. So we were supposed to host Princeton last year and go this year. We just kept it the same. So we're going, and then they're going to come the following year. Notre Dame, it was a single game. So the first year, which is a couple of years, 2 years, I think, down the road, we'll have them back here. But, you just they kept their schedule the way it was and just fit that in. So they were going to come here, and then we were going to go there this year, and we're still going there this year. We just had to find the date because they were 3 years out in their bookings, and we were 2 years out in our booking. So we were able to make up everything. We have a series with New Hampshire down the road that we had to push back because we had to fit Princeton back in if we wanted a 2 home games. So we came out pretty unscathed as far as getting who we wanted back on our schedule, and we're lucky for that. And I really enjoyed working with those teams and them making it happen and helping us out.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, I was hunting for the mute button. So Princeton later on in the year, Princeton is a team we haven't played in recent memory. Kind of hard to know what to expect out of those games.
Tigers will win.
Well, very insightful, Wayne. Thank you.
Yeah, just giving you an update. And the Tigers will lose. But no, yeah, good. We haven't played them. I enjoyed playing the Ivy League schools as well. So it was just someone that at Thanksgiving time they were available, and Ron Fogarty was great. And so looking forward to playing them. And I think with every team you do see different styles and everything. So this is going to be good for us to have Princeton, obviously a very prestigious school, and Ron Fogarty does a good job at that program. So looking forward to those games on the road.
You mentioned about getting to go to new arenas. I assume we're going to have a return trip next season with Arizona State in the first year of their new arena?
Second half, when the rink is built and the sun is shining. So, we were in a bit of a pickle there with, talking about Robert Morris with our third weekend in January open. There's not a lot of people available. And if they are available, you're just happy if they're off that weekend. So in regards to that, they were great. They said they'd love to come to our building because we want to get more home games in our building. And so with that, those two home games, we'll travel back there next year, and their rink will be finished. So they were very appreciative because when the new rink's built and ready to go second half of the year, they wanted to make sure that they had a lot of home games to do that. And it's going to be, I'm sure that place is going to be rocking, I would imagine. And so we're looking forward to that.
We're getting pretty close to the end of the hour, so we'd like to give you an opportunity with anything we forgot to ask you about or anything you'd like to pass along.
No, I'm just, really looking forward to playing in front of fans. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's, highlights everyone's schedules that fans are coming back more so than the opponents. We adapted very well to last year. I mean, there's stops and starts and everything else, but I think the biggest thing was even just adapting to no emotion in the building. Your team had to generate its own emotion, and that can be very difficult at times, but just stepping out for the start of the game, coming out for the national anthem, and just hearing everyone in the corner crew and the pep band going. And then, like I said, I can't wait for that. And it'd be a little different downtown, I think, without the alumni event happening as it traditionally happens. But looking forward to playing down there and getting going and just playing hockey and not worrying about the 3 tests every week. I mean, it was difficult, on pins and needles, waiting for the results every time. Is it going to take me out? And then is it going to take everyone else around me that was in close contact? So we're hoping for the best there as well.
Well, thank you, Coach Wayne Wilson. The Tigers are on the ice this Saturday night, 7:05 p.m. at the Gene Policini Center. RITtickets.com to get your tickets. Matt and Scott and I will have the radio broadcasts all season long on RIT's radio station, WITR, and iHeart Radio's WHTK. And we will be on there all season long. You can listen online or over the air. And with that, we'll turn it back over to Candy for some final comments before we wrap up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Wayne, Ed, Matt, and Scott. We all hope you enjoyed tonight's webinar. Additional questions can be emailed to Candy, with an I, .boston@rit.edu, and your questions will be forwarded to the coach. Please register to attend a webinar at 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, October 12th to meet, listen, and learn about RIT's new Executive Director of Intercollegiate Athletes, Jackie Nicholson. It'll be moderated by Senior Athletics Communication Specialist, Steve James. The link to those events can be found in the chat box. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. to listen. And with that, have a wonderful rest of the week. Stay healthy, stay connected, and let's transform RIT. Thank you.